Hey everybody, it's your pal Drew, and time for some more random comics from my spinner rack. That's my theme song in the background. Well, the Hulk. This is like sort of almost in the middle of the long run that Bill Mantlo and Sal Buscema did on the Hulk. Now there was an era around after like issue 226 when the Hulk got away from Gamma Base and all that. The book was just in the wilderness for years, and I stopped buying it because it was frankly really dull. But what happened was Bill Mantlo, he decided, like he did with ROM, like he did with Micronauts, in a lot of books he wrote, he decided to integrate more of the other guest stars and also characters that were based on other Marvel characters. It'll be evident in a minute, okay? Where are you going? You in a hurry? So these are the UFOs, which I just totally dig that name. I totally dig it. And apparently so do a lot of people. This one issue goes for quite a bit more than the issues before and after it. This is really when they were starting to cook. You know, like issue 250 with a Silver Surfer double-sized issue it was okay. It was like another typical Silver Surfer issue, kind of cut and paste. And then they dealt with Wood God, who sucks as a character, and then Thor fought him in 255. But before then, the UFOs come along. Now, Hulk faces 4 fantastic new enemies, and that's not an accident or a typo. I'm going to start off with... I love these kind of... Oh, Al Milgrom designed the costumes. Wow, that's pretty kick-ass, because I love these costumes. This is 1980, end of 80. It should be early 81, the way the dates are. It's a long story. So the Hulk's all fed up, and he's looking at the stars. You know, why don't the stars answer? Can't they hear Hulk? And he leaps and leaps and leaps. And it's as far as he can go, and it's cold. He can't breathe. And eventually he re-enters Earth's atmosphere. I love that. I love this whole sequence here. It's really strong stuff. So, passes out as Banner, which they sort of didn't like. I think it was the first Avengers movie. Yeah. So we go to, here we go. This is so, it's almost like a parody, but it's a fun one. And Fantastic Four got their powers because Reed Richards, a genius who also smoked a pipe for a while, he developed this rocket ship that would go up into space, beat the communists in the space race, and his fiancée and her younger brother went on board too for whatever reason. Ben Grimm was the pilot, and they all got hit by cosmic rays, and then they became superheroes. Well, at first it's kind of neat, but it's such a send-up. And I don't even know if Bill meant to do that, but okay. This guy's name is Utrecht, and here I kind of liked when Mantlo would do this sometimes because it's just to keep up on the names and always refer to them. Utrecht, I think your millions have affected your mind. You're crazy attempting that man and spaceship and space flight in an unshielded ship. Goes, I think Mike misses the point of our voyage, Simon. Perhaps you'd explain. Heck, sis, even if the big ape could design and build a ship without guessing its purpose, I don't think explaining would help. So it's identical to Fantastic Four. You have this grouchy dude here. Look, I do what you paid me to do. I built you a ship without shielding. I built you one. I never suspected you actually go up in that blasted thing. That is such an idiotic comment right there. The whole thing is ridiculous. I mean, you would have standards, with NASA, and even though there's other, there are standards to be had, and it's like you didn't want shielding it, but you never were going to go up. And so, like, was this like a high school project? So, what do you think I'm building there? A toy, and he plans to turn them into the new Fantastic Four. And they all play. They're pretty much Johnny and Sue and Ben. And get this. Because by serving me well, you have earned your place aboard. Well, Steele, the Darnells have made their choice, but I'm still need a pilot. But if you're afraid, Afraid, there's nothing in the world that frightens Mike Steele. I'll get your ship. So it's so ridiculous. But it's fun only because I don't know. Because the characters that came out were kind of fun. So they're all doing all this stuff. Very FF number one. And here come the big old, what do they used to call those things? Mike and Ike candies. Shaped like Mike and Ike, these little cosmic rays. And Banner sees something going on. I don't know how he flex the flight, but he does. And they come out the UFOs. And I just love them. I know that's kind of silly, but it's not really. I've seen around issue, I don't know, almost 400, Dale Keown did an issue that Peter David had written with these characters, and it looked great. What happened is the shards of the metal on this guy were simplified, and but I just love that, and I love the UFOs. Apparently, so many people do because they don't show up in a lot of things. So Vector can just basically make things move, you know, smack him around, smack Banner around. She can turn into gas, you know, like horrible stuff, noxious fumes. Ironclad, which is a great name, love that name. And there's X-Ray. So the old Sal Buscema, like doing a 3-panel bit where the Hulk starts transforming. So many cool stuff going on. So he's got Vector takes this slag that was melted from what's his name, X-Ray, turns it over to Ironclad, so he's like superheated. Really got that last pan. That is such a wrestling move there. Is there more? I don't want to miss any pages. Sorry about that. I don't have fingernails. I'm a nail biter. You know, it's a curse. Screw it, I'll get ahead. Anyway, the Hulk starts to take him out. After they take him out for a while. Let me rephrase that. They gave him crap, but you knew the Hulk was going to come out on top. That's the only thing I didn't like about this era is Hulk always came out on top, so it didn't really, you know, I mean, it's like the destination's better than the final, final place, but the power's going all wrong, all screwy. So, however, like around issue, about 20 issues later, Mantlo and Buscema brought these characters back, but the Hulk had Banner's brain at the time, and he beat the living crap out of them, and like smiled smugly. And I don't remember where else they've been. I think they'd be great to fight like the Avengers or something. But anyway, on to the Badger, one of my probably my favorite, tied with. Mike Barron wrote this. He wrote Nexus. Probably tied for my favorite books at the period. I mean, even more than Marvel or DC, because they just were something different completely. So this is the Wombat. And early on, people were not doing different versions of their costumes. Like he's doing camouflage. And then later on, when he's in the Arctic, he wears a white version of his suit. So they did, he and Bill Reinhold did a lot of that. And really great stuff. Good storytelling, just really enjoyable. And Bill Reinhold, great inker as well on Earth X over John Paul Leon or something like Rick Bryant. I've heard his name before. He jumps around places to places. So, there they go. They're in Australia. And here he is. Judge Crater. No, mate. Joan Blondell. Mate, you're blowing it. Okay, if you're so smart, do you know who I am? Of course, mate. Even down here, we've heard of the crazed bucko who talks to the animals. You're the woodchuck. Woodchuck? Badger was easily triggered back then. So, dig these moves. Now, Mike Barron actually knows martial arts, and it makes it work. I mean, he probably back then he probably like mailed reference to the artists, but yeah, he's skilled in like a couple of disciplines. Well, you know, they come to reason, and to an extent. It goes on and on and on. Yipes, stripes. Man, look how Reinhold sets up these horizontal shots. It conveys the important information. It's not like he's doing a cheat. Because after Paul Smith, no. After the Wolverine first miniseries where he left a lot of white space around, so many artists were cheating that way. It's like for Miller and Wolverine it worked, but only Paul Smith, who carried on with it, made it work too. But a lot of shortcomings. There we go. So Badger and Wombat take out the bad guys. And he goes, and they're both a little loony. He goes, East, I want to go home. I'm already missed a whole month of People's Court. Nevertheless, I'm asking you to go to Kathmandu and visit a friend of mine and take him this. What's that? A thylene whisker. You'll be needing it. Them? I'll take care of them. Hey, it's midnight. You know what that means? Yep. Of course. Count of 3, 2, 1. They're just sort of on the same page. They're like, okay, well, mask at midnight. And really enjoyable stuff. And there's a backup with Clone Zone. No. This is Zoomtown, which I really didn't like. It only lasted a few issues, and then Clone Zone, the Hilariator, became the backup story. Sorry about that, Mike. Now, the web. Boy, Impact Comics. It's like another incarnation of the MLJ characters that were owned by Red Circle, i.e. Archie Comics, and they decided to publish through DC Comics as an imprint. And I love that logo, the web. Now the web, his original costume, the original one, he was just some blonde guy with let me see, I can't think what he had. Oh, he had like his web's armpits, but they weren't like Steve Ditko's on Spider-Man. They were wider, more like a net. So this came on. I can't think of a cover that makes me say, "Don't buy me." And I'm sorry I'm being disrespectful, but there was a lot of stuff out there. And here's the other thing too: all this blue and stuff. I just got the impression he was on this big mammoth machine, and I didn't know why he was looking down. But if there'd have been a little bit of lighter color here to kind of offset, I know it's lighter there, but a little bit more, because I really can't. At first glance, clarity is very big. Also, the character's kind of, it's okay. It's like a Space Knight sort of thing, but like, why would you keep your head uncovered? All you gotta do is aim for that, and the red hair kind of stands out too. It's sort of like him touching down on Earth, even though I don't know if he's from Earth or what, but Tom Artis is a good artist. I'm sure he's heard that a billion times. He did late era Nexus magazines, comics after Steve Rude moved on. And, it's okay. And it's just sort of there. And it's not necessarily Tom Artis's bit. It's just kind of this is pretty neat and everything, but it doesn't tell you anything about him. I'm not saying you have to know everything about a character, but there's nothing to really hold on to that drags you into this story. Join the world of Steven Seagal. Dear God, I would never do that. But back then, he still had his, he still had his creds. See, it's just sort of, then 1, 2, that. It's just a lot of no interest in buying it. It's just not appealing. Cloak and Dagger. I came across this recently. Sometimes I'll just buy like some cheap books that I know I'll review, and then I'll put in my spinner rack. And this is the both. Cloak and Dagger number 10 is their ongoing series. They started off in a Spectacular Spider-Man around issue 60 something, and then they got popular. They showed up a few more times. Then in 1983 they had this huge hit of a miniseries written by Bill Mantlo and penciled by I can't think of his name. It's just fantastic. Rick Leonardi, and inked by Terry Austin. It's just breathtaking. So this is the ongoing series that, because miniseries did so well. This is by Brett Blevins, who took over sometime later in the 80s on New Mutants. That's what it was. I just love it. And there's Doctor Doom, of course. Everybody loves Doctor Doom. He's a badass character. The art in here is tremendous. It is tremendous. And you got Matt Lowe on board writing, Brett Blevins, and Terry Austin. Ken Brusnick is a fantastic letterist. Glennis Oliver, who used to be Glennis Ween, I've sung her praises a billion times. So Carl Potts is the editor, and he was always one of those editors that chose the stuff that was on the outside. Like Cloak and Dagger was never a big hit except for that miniseries, but he was always into on the fringe characters within the Marvel Universe. And look at this friggin' detail. Holy crap. I've never seen Blevins do a lot of tech stuff before, but I don't think the scripts he had at this point needed that much. So what happens is, the plot is Doctor Doom's, all the nuclear missiles that are in America and in the then Soviet Union and all these other countries, he just says, eventually everyone's going to nuke each other, or I ain't going to have anything to rule over, provided I live. So he's going to undo all nuclear bombs to the best, through his machines. Here's what's interesting to me. There were a lot of times in the 80s and 70s where you would see a byline created by Bill Mantlo and Ed Hannigan, and I don't know if it was like a legally binding issue. I think because it was supervillain team up, which is like the 34th anniversary of the Submariner created by Bill Everett. And I used to wonder, when they write this stuff, I don't know if it has any legal ties, or if it's just, ideally it should, because it passed Carl Potts. Cloak and Dagger are a great team. They're great looking characters, but they're just not compelling enough to have an ongoing story, because they're sort of one note. Cloak is, he has like the dark force, and he can swallow people in his cape, and she can shoot light daggers, and a lot of times she'll shoot light daggers to Cloak to keep him from, help him out, because he's in agony a lot of times when he uses his powers. Look at all that rain. It's tricky to do all that rain without ruining the imagery. Man, that big old control board there, whatever it is, that's just magnificent. Really great stuff. Classic Doom poses. So, Cloak and Dagger are kind of like, well, should we stop him? I don't know. It's going to be doing a lot of good. And pours himself some wine. Pours it down. I always wondered how he got wine down that grill. You would see Kirby and others showing him with a goblet of wine. I'm like, what if it just spilled all over inside his armor? So, but that's okay. There she is, a very classic Cloak and Dagger panel. Dang, that's great. Blevins is great. He's another guy who's like, to my knowledge, I may be 100% wrong, but I don't associate him with anything Marvel on a permanent basis or long run of it. I just know he's good. He's good, and he's different too. Like, he makes Dagger more pixie-esque. Cloak goes over Doom. He is, when you go in that cloak, it could disturb you, it could mess with your mind. And Doom dreams of his mother who died, the one he keeps trying to bring back every year with witchcraft. And, he's upset. He shoots. It just happens to come out of Cloak's cloak. And so they're trying to stop this Doomsday machine, or anti-Doomsday machine. He just sucks him up again. And another blast from Doom ends up destroying the machine that was going to destroy all the nukes. And so much detail. Good gosh. And it's like, then, like Prometheus, we have triumphed over a jealous god. Nuclear fire has been restored to mankind. Will we, in time, come to regret our gift as we live with the gnawing guilt that we may have given humanity back the means of his own destruction? Good stuff. Bill's a great guy. I mean, I wish I had met him, but I think of him as a sign of quality. Now, this is great. 0 Hour, even though it's not really ballyhooed, as people remember 0 Hour, because there's crossovers every year. I actually liked it. And you know what's funny is I bought this like about a year before I got comps from DC. I wasn't even in the industry yet. It was like half a year before I was. And in Atlanta, they had this thing called the Atlanta Fantasy Fair, which was amazing. And then what totally escapes me is it dwindled to nothing in like 2-3 years. It dwindled to the point where I was a new guy with one comic published. It was me and Jeff Pittarelli, the painter. We were the only ones at the Atlanta Fantasy Fair, which was the very last one. And what's really great about that though? My first show appearance, I'm trying to sell stuff, or I'm just talking, and all of a sudden, my mom and dad, my Uncle Larry, and my Aunt Angela came down at the table. Somebody asked me something. I looked up, and it was stunning. So they were so cool to come down and surprise me at a show in Atlanta. I was just like, that was just really, really, really cool. That was great. So let's go back to this. 0 Hour came out a while before. Great miniseries with Dan Jurgens and Jerry Ordway on the art, and boy, oh boy, oh boy, beautiful stuff. So I picked up a few of these. This is a lot of books like Starman and others managed to come out of this crossover. There's others, but I can't recall at the moment. But it's so beautiful. I had to get this. What's his name? John Bogdanov and Dennis Janke were on Man of Steel for a while. So there's all these different Batmans. There's the animated series. There is the Dick Sprang version. I think that's a Carmen. No, it's somebody else. Kelly Jones. Let's see. Frank Miller. Bob Kane, a.k.a. Bill Finger. The 50s Batman. And a Bernie Wrightson look, Neil Adams, Carmen Infantino famous, and I think that's Jim Aparo. And this Batman is from those god-awful movie serials that came out before regular movies at the theaters, around the early to mid 40s. So here comes Superman to meet Batman, and wouldn't you know it, it's a Neil Adams Batman. Before you jump and say, theft. No. It's part of the plot. He goes, and what has happened to you? What happened? Your hair. You're not going hippie on us, are you? Hippie. Why are you here? I mean, it's completely from Green Lantern, Green Arrow, plus some Batmans. That hand, too. I mean, it's just one of those crazy exaggerations. There's a time anomaly. I said that right. That's affecting things going on. All of a sudden, here comes a Dark Knight Batman with those two-tone grays. Let me go a little closer on that bad boy. There we go. Yeah, I just love that. So, tiny panels, just like Dark Knight. Fuck. I could have used Sonics to call him, but I knew the sounds of violence would draw him faster. That's kind of funny because that's such a Frank Millerism. But, it's written by Louise Simonson, fantastic writer. Three of them are together. Isn't that wild? Look, I came to Metropolis to save us, but it seems like you found me instead. Superman, forever vital, forever perfect, except the hair and these ruins. Who are you? I'm Batman. So there you go. Confrontation of Neil Adams versus Frank Miller. And that's right out of like the panel where he says, what is it? Gotham is mine, or the Joker is mine, or something like that. And so it's not intended to be like, we're going to screw the original artist. It is a true homage, not a ripoff. Here comes the original Batman from 1939. I deduced that you were here, Superman. I came to inform you. Let me guess. Odd things are happening in Gotham. And I love the spooky lettering, word balloons there. Man. That's a page you'd want to buy because it's just so cool. And Bob Kane's quote unquote version. He goes right into Neil Adams, and this looks like he's going Neil Adams to Barney Wrightson. Bogdanov was just him and Louise were just wonderful. There, and there. It's just nuts. With noise like this passing for music, it no longer surprises me that the rubble that surrounds us passes for Metropolis. In the recent, there's a book out by Dan Jurgens and Mike Perkins called Batman First Night, and it deals with his early days of fighting, and he's got these purple gloves, just like in the original early stories. So there's some rock concert going on. I don't know the whole story, but here we go. 1939 Batman, early 70s Batman, 80s Batman, and back again. And this is not the tank that Frank Miller created for Batman in Dark Knight. It's just so much fun, all these different styles. That Bogdanov is just so energetic. He's got that Kirby in him that just there's no way to suppress it. It doesn't matter who he's drawing. He's just got that power. I wish he was still doing comics. I don't know what he's doing now, but man, I love this stuff. This is a great ad. Okay, and believe it or not, Legion of Superheroes was popular enough to sustain 3 books. That's where I got my start on one of the main Legion of Superheroes. What's great is it seems like Bogdanov allowed Jank to do whatever the hell he wants, and that's like an inker's dream. So there you go. You got the Legion of various versions of Batman, and goes the Frank Miller Batman. That one I don't know. He says, have I switched timelines? You have. And there is the classic Carmen Infantino going into the from the 60s, early 60s to the 50s Batman, ghosted by Shelley Moldiff, which is it's a great era. It's a lot of fun. And he repeats that there just to make sure he's getting into that. This thing with the color, I don't know. I don't know if it has to do with the many suits of Superman, which he had like an orange costume, a pink costume, or whatever. Man, love that action going on there. And he stops to meet, I think, the regular Batman. Yeah, because he's got no blue and gray. It's very, very grays. And here comes Metron. And meanwhile, the Kents get interrupted by the birth parents of Kal-El, a.k.a. Clark Kent. So I really recommend this. Really. And also the 0 Hour. It was only 4 issues, thank God. It wasn't like a year-long thing. And it's real joyous to read. So anyway, that's it for now. And I keep doing this. I'm like the worst self-promoter ever. Yeah, I do commissions. That's a actual size drawing of Batman, where I just decided to freewheel it. And hang on, I showed this a while back. That was a sketch cover. Carnage was fun to draw because it's easy as pie. This was a inking job over a guy named Sheldon Go, who's from, I don't know if he's from the Philippines or what, but boy, oh boy, oh boy. Oh, it's not a good enough quality scan I printed out. Cover recreations. First, Ted Core Blue Beetle. I've shown this before many times. A couple of my favorite Bronze Age guys. Shroud and Stingray. Iron Man. The very first appearance of Dead Man. And if you want any commissions, contact me at drewdracycomics@gmail.com. I just did this last year over Mark Texiera. And then I drew the hill, and then the castle, and then this fade out. So tremendous fun. And I'm open to discuss rates. I mean, because some of them will be more demanding, like if you have several characters or, whatever. I'm pretty flexible. So that's all. Enough of me whoring myself out, and hope you have a good day.